We should be live. All right, let me open up I need to have YouTube on the right and then LinkedIn on the left. YouTube should be more popping. Definitely been more popping lately. Let's see how much love we're gonna get from LinkedIn today.
Yeah.
Let's see who shows up for
Hello, everyone who's viewing. Tell us where you are.
Yeah. Let's see. Where's everyone at? Again, no promo. Again, that's my fault. But we are here to roast some resumes. Who wants? Hey, all. Yep. Yo. Oh, I think we got. Hey, listen. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys are watching on the vertical stream. This is like a brand new thing.
Yeah.
Who's watching on the vertical stream? Toronto's in the house. Nashville's in the house.
Hi, Rishi.
Wow. Yeah. We got folks. Yeah, put a 1 in the chat. Where y'all watching from? Nashville. You know, Ireland, Denver, Vancouver. Okay.
Hi, Joey.
Oh my goodness, look at that. No promo. People are showing up.
That is great.
Yeah.
I think that I cannot comment. I think that I'm for some reason not logged in on YouTube.
What?
Yeah, maybe I need to go into YouTube and then comment from my account.
Someone enjoy that. Let me post in the Slack that we are. Yes, as y'all come in, post where y'all watching from. The UK's in the building. Nice. We're worldwide. What's good? What's the best food out of Ireland? Like, what are they known for? Wait, is it? What's that? What am I thinking of? You know those Irish pubs? What am I thinking of? I went there like, but there's need to be like a food. What's the food best from Ireland?
Yeah. Tell us, Siraj.
Is it something with like mashed potatoes and meat?
I think what Americans think is like the biggest Irish food is like what we call corned beef and cabbage or boiled dinner.
Oh yeah.
We all make that on St. Patrick's Day. At least in Wisconsin, we did when I lived there.
Do you guys put cheese in it?
Cheese,
because that's what y'all do, right? Cheese.
Oh, because from Wisconsin.
Yeah. I don't think the Instagram live's working. Whatever.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at the YouTube live. I'm really I have to apologize to everybody who's just on this stream right now and waiting. I'm looking at the YouTube live and it's really just this vertical format. Even though I'm looking at it in the horizontal.
There's 2 links. There's 2 separate links for YouTube. There's a horizontal link and then there's a vertical link. So there's 2 separate actual links. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's StreamYard calls it like streaming from Mars. It's new. So,
All right. Well, I guess it doesn't matter.
All right.
I'll just comment there anyway.
Okay. All right. So let's get started. Let's roast some. Listen. I think folks are ready for some roasting.
Roast.
Well, I hope you guys got your marshmallows, and your chocolates, because it's gonna be a nice roast. Oh, fish
Yeah.
and chips, basically, kind of mashed
Oh,
potatoes. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I like
yeah.
that. I like
Good.
I like that. That's
Okay.
good stuff. You can't listen. I've never met anybody that did not like potatoes. Like you can't. There's no form of a potato that no one like. You know what I'm saying? Like no one dislikes potatoes, right?
Oh,
Whether you like it fried, mashed. There's no form of a potato that no one like anyone like dislikes. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure.
Potatoes are the bomb.
Yeah. Okay,
All right,
let's get
guys.
started. All right. So Emily, for folks that are just seeing you for the first time, who are you and why are you here today?
Yeah, thank you so much. So my name, as you can see on the screen, Emily Nelson de Velasco. Also, Emily Talks Tech Jobs on YouTube. And I am basically a former Wayfair recruiter who is now working as a career coach. When I worked for Wayfair, I recruited for analytical roles, including business intelligence, analytical unicorn type roles, and data science. So now I'm here helping everybody out there land jobs in tech, career coach extraordinaire, and big fan of data in motion.
Nice.
Yeah.
Listen, we're excited. Because when it comes down to resumes, it's especially now today where anyone can do like these AI generators or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but it is still people still struggle,
Yeah.
especially when you're pivoting in your career changer and there's people who honestly haven't really used a resume to like that much often. So um, I think people are gonna get some good stuff out of here. So where do we want to start?
Good. So I think we have a number of different resumes that we want to go through today, and I'm going to try and go through them as quickly as possible. I think right now I'd like to start by talking about, what I generally look for in bullets in a resume. Speaking from experience, having been a recruiter, and also the resume bullet format that um, I'm going to talk about today is promoted by Google. So if you're applying, and I know that Keisha is not a big fan of all of the FANG companies, but but honestly, like I feel like this bullet format is basically the gold standard when it comes to writing bullets on your resume, and I will let you know why. Let me see if I can get the right slide up. Exactly. Okay, so we're going to talk about like formatting and all of the different things and different aspects of the resume shortly. But I just wanted to start out with this, so like when we go into the resumes, I can reference back to it, and you guys will know what I'm talking about. So here, first of all, talking about the XYZ framework, this is the best way to build your bullets under your experience section on your resume. So, you've got your experience, worked at XYZ company from to, this was my job title. And then what did you do? There are different ways to talk about what you did at a particular company. And the best way that you can deliver impact to a recruiter or even a hiring manager is to use this format. So the XYZ formula is accomplished X as measured by Y by doing Z. And the reason that we put accomplished X first is because a lot of times people describe the tasks that they've had in their jobs and basically what they did, which is very basic information. And it is much more impactful if you're able to tell us, instead of what you did, what you achieved. So, for example, I'm going to look at the example that's here in the box. So increased forecast accuracy by 25% by creating automated Power BI models for weekly sales trends. So this bullet is very impactful, because when somebody's looking at your resume, let's say a recruiter's there, has has maybe 7 seconds on average to spend on each individual resume. So we want to give them the most impactful information first, which was your metrics, what you did, what you moved, what the impact was that you had on your company, which quite frankly, like especially for people in data positions, it's really important to know this stuff, because that is basically at the crux of what your job is at any given company. So it would also be possible to write this bullet in another way. Starting here, we could write something like created automated Power BI models for weekly sales trends, and just leave it at that. And just saying created, that discusses, that's talking about what you did. So if I tell my impact first, that recruiter or hiring manager, well, especially the recruiter who's taking the 7 seconds to look at your resume, they're getting the most impactful information that you have on that particular topic. So that's, I think, probably all I have to say about this. If you guys have any questions, feel free to toss it into the chat, and I'm happy to answer them as we go through. So this is what I'm referring to when I talk about XYZ framework. If you're wanting to, feel free to screenshot this right now, and you can refer back to it later. So that being said, I'm ready to get into it. And I have to say, I'm just kind of missing Pedro right now. So I know we called this roast. I pushed back on Kadisha a little bit about calling it a roast, because I am a gentle roaster. I know that everybody has put a lot of effort into their resume. So I'm here to give really constructive points. And also, just so you know, there are so many different ways of doing things. I've spent probably 3 years now supporting job seekers, especially in the data space. So I have a lot of experience working with different types of resume formats. And I'm going to be speaking from my perspective, what I've seen work really well in the North American, tech space. So there are other ways, and other people will definitely have differing opinions on that. So this is just my perspective, and take it or leave it in a good way.
Alrighty, that's a light roast. I'm guessing you like to just put the marshmallow on for maybe a couple of seconds and right back off.
It's just I make it a little bit brown, and then I smush it into the chocolate. That's it. I don't like to burn it, All right. So that being said, let's have a look at this resume by Jane Doe. And I have to say that I converted some of these from PDF format or from different formats. So sometimes the formatting might look a little wonky, but that's not the fault of the person who made it. It's probably just something that that happened in the conversion process. So basically, let's start with Jane here. I love, let's start out with the header. Good name right at the top. This had a link to the person's LinkedIn profile. I deleted it so that we wouldn't see phone number, email. Here it says United States. Sometimes I basically, if you have a data profile, you're looking for data jobs, it's great to also list your, what's it called? Kadisha, help me. Your GitHub or your portfolio here, so that the recruiter can click on it right at the top. And then sometimes people also find it helpful to put some additional information up at the top. For example, if you're in the United States and you have a name that sounds like it might not be English, or it might come from a different background, sometimes it might be useful to put US citizen up at the top, or green card holder, so that people see you right on your resume that you don't need sponsorship, because it's a big topic right now. The only thing that I would say that I would like to add up here to the top is the title of the job that you're applying for. So generally right here between your name and all this contact information, it's good to add the job title of the job you're applying for. And the type of resume strategy that I'm going to be talking about right now is a targeted resume strategy, where you are writing a customized resume for every single role that you apply for. We've talked in the past about using the power of a custom GPT to get that done quickly and efficiently for you. And I definitely continue to recommend that, because just like Kadisha said earlier, using those resume generator tools, a lot of times it's not very effective. Because basically what will happen is you'll put in your old resume, it'll have a look at the job description, and then it'll just basically make stuff up for your resume. And that, unfortunately, is something that a lot of recruiters are having problems with these days. And if your resume looks absolutely perfect, it's almost kind of a red flag right now. So it's kind of a weird moment that we're existing in with resumes right now. So just be sure that when you do create your resume, it's really speaking to the truth. But back to the top, so having the job title up at the top up here gives me what I like to call a checkbox. So I, as a recruiter, in my 7 seconds, I'm looking at the most pertinent information. So I'm looking name, okay, there's some information up here, skills. And every time I see something that matches what I'm looking for, it's like check, check, check. So if I already have the title, let's say we're applying for like marketing analyst, and it says marketing analyst right up here under your name at the top, check. That's already giving me motivation to continue on. And then we're going to go down here to where it says skills, just in the case of this resume. Okay, so Tableau desktop, Tableau server, SQL, Excel. And if these are the tools that I'm looking for in this role, check, 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 check. So let's actually talk about the order of these categories up here. So a lot of times, especially for career pivoters, there's a bit of a decision that needs to be made about where you put your skill section and what is like that first column, that first row up at the top. So this one is skills. I don't have a problem with that. However, if someone has some kind of experience and you're pivoting maybe from like a different field that is, let's say, not I don't want to say necessarily in tech, but somewhat corporate. It doesn't even have to be super corporate, but you've got, like, let's say 3 years of experience in a certain industry. It's really nice to call that out briefly at the top here. So I think for this person, the fulfillment associate at Amazon, I actually really like that they lead with the skills section, because fulfillment associate is definitely it's definitely one of the roles that it's a little bit harder to match to data analysis. Actually, this is something that we talked about on our call last night with some data in motion people. But we'll have a look at that in some of the other resumes. So for this person, I'm totally on board with them having their skills. We're assuming that they've matched these skills here to the job description. Little typo here: hard skills, soft skills. Try not to have any typos in there. Do a spell check before you get that out. Okay, and then going down to the experience section, we've got the location, we've got the company, great. And now here, we've got some doer language: organized, implemented, reported. I almost wonder if this bullet, which is discussing reporting, if this is something that could be quantified and maybe rewritten in the XYZ format. And I'm seeing, of course, like, I don't know exactly what the person's applying for, but if they're applying for data roles and they're needing to create reports, then I believe that this would probably be most relevant. And when we're writing the resume, we have to think about it from the recruiter and the hiring manager's perspective. Like, what is most relevant to them? Not necessarily what we did the most, but what are those words and skills and activities and accomplishments that they're going to want to see first, because think about it, in 7 seconds, are they going to just skip this, or see this first bullet and say, okay, yeah, fulfillment associate, and then think exactly what you did as a fulfillment associate there? Or would it be better for them to see that you worked with reporting, and that you're aware of the metrics that you had, the KPIs that you were trying to achieve, and the impact that you had on the company around this reporting? So I would consider that. If it's more relevant, it goes at the top. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of a roast here. So looking at this bullet, it starts out, this is the fourth bullet under Domino's Pizza. We audited orders. So I also noticed, sorry, I'm not going through the questions in the chat very thoroughly, but I saw that somebody's having an interview this week. One thing that I always, always, always want people to keep in mind when they're writing their resume, or they're speaking about the work that they've done, especially in an interview, we is completely off the table, because your employer is going to want to know what your exact role was. So if you use words like we, it means that you worked in a team and the team did and accomplished this, but what your specific role was is unclear. And if it's unclear, then I either need to ask you again, which takes up more time, or in this case, I'm just moving on to the next one because I have about 1 million resumes in my pipeline. Okay, then we've got education down here and projects. I almost feel like for this person, because the Bachelor of Arts and Liberal Sciences was in creative writing, the assumption here is probably going to be that the creative writing isn't necessarily something that focused a lot on these quantitative skills. Probably didn't do a lot of coding. It's not 100% sure, right? But it was Bachelor of Arts, creative writing. So because this is less relevant than these projects, I actually personally would move the projects here above the education. Because honestly, quite often, if somebody has graduated like a little bit in the past, even a year, 2 years, or more ago, then the education can go down a little bit further if education, a bachelor's degree, is required at all. So that's being said, that's what I would say for this particular resume. Do we get any good questions in?
Yeah, we did. Let me start from the top. How important is a summary at the top of resumes? I have heard contradicting information.
Right. Okay, Rishi, thank you so much for pointing that out. There, like I said earlier, there are so many different opinions on this. Personally, if you can demonstrate your impact and your match in a very brief 2 to 3 lines up at the top, that's amazing, because there's a lot of information here on a resume. And what I'm looking for is years of experience, the tools that you've used, the industry match. So if you put that up into a line or two at the top, that helps me a lot. And it even helps me guide the rest of my trip, let's say, through your resume, because I know then what I'm looking for. So if at the top, let's say you've got a different company that's not Amazon, but you worked for maybe a smaller company in the e-commerce space, you're applying for an e-commerce company, and like me looking at this, I don't know what I mean, obviously Amazon, I don't know what company this is, then it's really helpful to me if you say e-commerce and then it says somewhere in here e-commerce, but you're just calling that out at the beginning with the professional summary.
Okay,
So
perfect.
I'm a big fan of professional summary.
Okay. I'm gonna pivot to a question from Eagles fan 109. I'm hoping you don't mean the Philadelphia Eagles. But then we'd have some problems. All right. I'm currently a business analyst and finishing my master's in data science in 2 weeks. I have experience in XYZ tools. Any tips on how to stand out?
Wow. Congratulations.
I guess it's like maybe like a whole like let's even like reference this. Let's say, how do people stand out now in the market when, let's say, everyone looks good on paper, everyone looks good on the, like, how do people stand out?
Yeah. Honestly, this is an amazing question, because I think a lot of people go into the job search thinking, okay, I'm going to write down what I can do. I'm going to put it on my resume and I'm going to send it out into the world, and everyone's going to be really excited, and I'm going to land a job. And right now it's just there's so much competition, and there's so many basically fake resumes out there, that is decreasingly the case. So what I would say is, number one, if I were recruiting right now and I want to really verify that what I'm seeing on paper is true, I would be clicking on that LinkedIn profile, to be honest, because that's a lot harder to fake than one customized resume that somebody made for a particular role. Because you've got all eyes on the LinkedIn profile, so I would be doing that, number one. Kadisha's here to help you guys absolutely rock it with your portfolios. And then the other, like the final and one of probably actually the more impactful thing that you can do is be networking and making connections, because you absolutely cannot fake it with a person. So having FaceTime, invaluable.
I noticed that trend like in the past. I noticed because I've always had, well, I'm ashamed to admit it, but I've always had LinkedIn Premium because I like to see who snoops on my profile, especially when I was actually like a job seeker like a lot.
Yeah.
So I noticed the trend of when I would actually apply to roles, and
Yeah.
then I would see recruiter from this company that I applied to looked at your profile. Like
Mhm.
that's something I noticed like a while back ago. And now it's a large amount of job applications that ask for your LinkedIn, that ask for your like website.
Yeah.
So it's almost like part of like the, I don't know, recruiter journey, like resume, LinkedIn, and then yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd be doing that, making those human connections and just doing the LinkedIn thing. If we're in tech these days, you got to play the game.
All
All
right.
right. Shall we move on to the next one?
Yep, then we'll get to more questions later.
All right, good. Okay, John Doe, same again at the top here. I would love to see that title. So I don't know if this person made this for a particular role or not, but if you do, which you should be doing, then we're going to write the name of that role up at the top and then portfolio link as well. Skills. Okay, let's have a look at this person's skills here. So they're putting data and analytics right at the top, IT and system certifications. Okay. And then going down to experience. All right. So we're seeing co-owner, operations supervisor, and technical support, IT technician. Okay. Full time. Java developer, video game reviewer, writer internship. Okay. Interesting. And now I scroll down a little bit farther and I see this person has a bachelor's degree in computer science. I hope you're on the stream right now because I know who you are. This is amazing. I almost feel like if I were you, because you've got this strong background in computer science that already tells me, during your experience at university, you did learn how to code. So that being said, if you have a bachelor's degree in computer science, then I would assume that tools like Power BI, Excel, Power Query, these are probably are like already easier for you than somebody who has like a non-technical degree. So for me, if I were you, I would definitely I would be leading with a summary, professional summary. So that way I'm not waiting all the way to the bottom to see that, you have this educational background in computer science. I would love to see that at the top for you. And I kind of see where you might be coming from, because this role that you have here, it's, technical support lead. Because it's like a rugs and blankets company and you're also a co-owner, that tells me that you're probably really doing a lot. So I might make the assumption here that even though you are probably the person in the business who is more in charge of the technical stuff, I'll probably assume it looks like it might be a small company. So I would probably assume that you're doing a lot of non-technical work as well. And I also see that here you've got 2019 in up to now. Interesting. This role, I'm seeing IT technician full time, and I realize that this ended in May, so that makes sense as to why you would put it down here. but I would almost feel like I might like to see that up a little bit higher. And there are ways to be creative with this. Of course, it's good to be putting like months and years, but if you want, you could also leave off the month, and then you could put this one, the IT technician, you could put that above Jay's rugs and blankets, because this actually started in 2019. So that might be something to consider. And also for those of you who have your own job, like you're freelancers or you own your own companies, you can be so flexible with what you call yourself. Actually, you don't even need to call yourself co-owner. Because I see this, I assume that you do a lot of work that's non-technical, but you could also just drop this, because every time we're presenting it ourselves in the interview process, whether it be on paper or verbally, we're wanting to leverage like what I like to call the Venn diagram of truth and lies. And I'm not saying lie, but but what I do want to say is use language creatively in order to convey what you have done. So I'm saying, like, definitely don't lie. Like, we're never 2 feet into the lie circle, but if you're able to like find a happy medium where you can emphasize what skills you do have that are related, very closely related to the job that you're applying for, feel free to leverage that.
I would like to hear more about this Venn diagram of lies in the next live session. I
I will make a diagram. Okay, great. So let's look at a couple bullets here. Okay, let's go down to this one, IT technician. Patched critical vulnerabilities in system using Tenable vulnerability management, resulting in an 88% reduction in severe security threats. Okay, so this bullet has everything we need, but I would switch it around thinking XYZ impact first. So I would say reduced severe security threats by 80%, 88% by patching critical vulnerabilities in system, da, 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 da. That way, it's super easy for me to see, okay, you had the impact and this is how you did it. Switch it up. Okay, good. I like this. Projects. Okay, also same with projects. I would want to probably know a little bit more about your project. I don't know if it's done yet. Maybe that's still a work in process. Since you do have more space on the page, and this might just be because of formatting, but there's a little bit more space on the page here. And there are always 2 things happening with the resume when you're sending that into, like to apply for a job. It goes into the ATS system, which is parsing the information that's on the page. And then a recruiter is going to see it. So we need to make sure that we're like optimizing for both of those things. And because you do have this extra space down here, you definitely can be adding some extra information, which contains keywords that the ATS parser and AI ranker that the company may, or quite frankly, may not be using right now, could potentially like. So maybe just assume that like 40% of companies right now are using a parser and a ranker. Well, everyone's using a parser, but let's assume that maybe 40% of companies are using a ranker. So if they're using a ranker, then it really makes sense to fill in this space with more words that the ranker will like. Okay. Any more good questions coming in?
Jordan said resumes is the fun creative part. Writing the cover letter is a drag. Well, why are you writing the cover letter? I'm team anti cover letter. What are you team?
So I am team both writing the cover letter and not writing the cover letter. And the reason is when I recruited, I received a lot of cover letters and I never read a single one of them because I was hiring for analytical roles, and all of the information that I needed to see on the resume and on the LinkedIn profile. And then instead of really caring about what it said in the cover letter, it was more important for me to test their technical skills. So the next step for me was a technical assessment. So that information wasn't pertinent to me at all. However, Last year, I attended a workshop by, I want to say, JobScan, where they talked about a lot of different statistics, because that is one of these like resume maker tools, and because of that they have a lot of user information, user data, and they concluded, they analyzed all the data, and they concluded that it was one if you sent a cover letter with your application, you were 1.9 times as likely to be invited for an interview than those who didn't. And I have to say that there was no breakdown of that, so it didn't go into technical versus non-technical roles. I know that there are people out there who do want to see a cover letter because people have different preferences. So having a cover letter always is always something that it's never anything that's going to get you like kicked out, but it might be plus points. And there are very good cover letter structures that you can follow that make it kind of easy to create a cover letter. We definitely don't have time to talk about that today. Oh, I can't see the time on my thingy. But yeah, maybe we can talk about that in a future event.
Oh no, I don't want to talk about cover letters the whole time.
Oh,
Um,
do
but
you want to talk about them right now?
no. We
Okay.
can I did have a question about employment gaps. I think that
Mm-hmm.
how do we address employment gaps, or especially underemployment too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think now, so for me, an employment gap was never an issue. And I have to admit that I'm a little bit confused about why that would be an issue for someone, because especially in the tech space, there are always layoffs happening. So yeah, maybe at some point you didn't have a job, maybe you moved, maybe somebody got sick. Like that just never made sense to me personally. I know that a lot of people say, "Oh, employment gap, you're not employable," but we have no idea what's behind that. However, I'm in contact with a lot of recruiters, also hiring managers, and I believe that it's like less and less the case that people actually care that you've had a gap. So if you want, like, it depends on how long the gap is, really what your situation is. So if you have like a longer gap that was more than like 6 months, then I think it still probably does make sense to put like a one-liner and say sabbatical, leave of absence, and then just like one little line about what you did, you know? Um, and if it was due to a layoff, you can definitely write layoff there. That's no problem whatsoever. So I think like for me, it depends a little bit on what the situation was more specifically. But yeah, if it's longer, feel free to write that little one liner in in the experience section as if it was a job. You can do the same on LinkedIn too if you want.
Oh yeah, I think they actually have that like an
Yeah.
option for
Mm-hmm.
job. Yeah. Okay, nice.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions before we move on to Jane here?
No, I think it's time to move on to Jane number 2 for
Jane
now.
number 2. Okay, good.
Yeah, this is the second one, right?
This is what?
Oh, I was sorry. This is the second Jane we've covered.
Yes. I see. I wasn't as creative as you with the renaming of these resumes, so mine are a little bit boring, but they'll get more exciting later. Okay, so I'm going to go through this one a little bit quickly because I see that I'm lagging a little bit. Okay, Jane Doe, we got the name. Of course, again, I want to see that job title right at the top. Love, professional summary. Let's look at this. Data science professional with 8 years in the software industry across product, project, and client management. Bang, bang, bang. Love it. Experience in delivering digital platforms and operational improvements with cross-functional teams. Okay, I think the only thing that I might be missing, so I don't know which company this resume was created for. So, maybe it could be a little bit more targeted to a particular company. I don't know that. I think the only thing that I'm missing is that if you wanted here, you could also put some of the skills that you use, some of the tools. I see that they're right here. I think the biggest bone that I actually have to pick with this resume, Jane, a very small bone, is that the experience is all the way down at the bottom. And for me as a recruiter, the most relevant information, the thing from that I see here that's going to get you hired is what somebody has paid you to do in the past. Of course, unless you're a recent grad, and I think that you also are a recent grad. Congratulations, September 2025. Good for you. So I understand why you're wanting to put that up at the top. Absolutely get it. But because you are so experienced and you have, the major in data science here, it would be super, super great for you if you could put just a couple keywords around the most pertinent skills to the role you're applying for up here. So if they're looking for R, you've got it all the way at the end here. You could put that using R, using Python, and then all of these other skills, including R and Python still, could go down at the bottom. Because I'm already assuming, because you are a data science professional with a Master of Science in Data Science, first class, congratulations. I assume that you know these tools. So that's not something that you need to put it right in my face. So for me, that would be completely fine to put it down at the bottom. I'm also looking here at education. So you have a postgrad diploma in professional marketing. That is very interesting. If I were you, with that knowledge, and let me see, also potentially experienced project manager. I don't know if you've worked so much in marketing, because I haven't done a deep dive into your resume yet. But if you are wanting to apply as a marketing analyst, then I would love to see the word marketing up here as well. Okay, Bachelor of Science, Geological Engineering, fantastic. I always love to see an engineer because that tells me technical skills. Doesn't matter what you majored in when it comes to engineering. That just tells me technical. Wonderful. And then we've got projects here, which is great. Let's see. I'm going to go through a couple bullets. Analyze doer language. Identified students at risk of falling below a grade 4 pass. I wonder if it would be possible for you to put this at the beginning of the bullet and put a metric around it. So 2,000 pupil records, what did that transfer into? And were these students not only identified, but was the fail rate reduced because of that? And because it was just a project, maybe we haven't gone full circle on that just yet. But I always want to see the the impact at the beginning. Here, improved model accuracy. I'm assuming if you know that you improve model accuracy, you have a metric around that. I would love to see that here as well. Built, that's what you did. Developed a scraping service, that's what you did. Digitized and codified, okay, that's what you did. So if we're able to, creating rules and that achieved 100% unit test coverage, I definitely want to see that at the beginning of the bullet. And if this is something that's more pertinent and stronger, I would even pull it up to closer up to the top. Okay. I also noticed that up above in your profile summary, you mentioned product, project, and client management. And I see that you are a product manager down here. So if you're looking to do something like product analytics, for example, it might make sense for you to pull this up to the top a little bit higher, even maybe right below education, because otherwise it could look like you have a gap if that ended in 2024. So for that reason, I'm very happy that you put your education right here closer to the top. But then I think, what has somebody paid you to do it in the past? I think for me, that's probably more pertinent to the actual projects that you did, because all of this profile that I'm seeing from you says analytical and technical. Okay. Shall we move on? Oh, last thing, Jane. Last thing, and I am going to pick on this. So the font here is a little bit small, and that is absolutely no problem whatsoever for the parser and the ranker. However, for the human, if I'm having to click to enlarge it, that's seconds that are being taken away from my review time of your resume. So I like to say, The absolute, I know that when I opened this, it was 9-point font. I would say at smallest do like a 10.5. 10.5 like Arial font or Calibri is like fantastic for a resume.
So
Good.
this one, like it's like just peeked over on the second page. Would you say like
Oh,
they could like reduce some of the bullets for like the education
right.
and yeah.
Yeah. So actually, the person had it on one page and it came out wonky because I converted it. So
Oh, okay.
apologies to the person. But yes, absolutely. When the font is a little bit bigger, and I really like this is really picky, but like on these hanging bullets, it's a lot easier to read if this like F is aligned with the A. Otherwise, it gets a little bit hard for the eye to read, the human's eye. So when it comes to like bullet length, it's great if you can get it onto that one line in the fonts and size that you're using, because it's just easier for a person to read. If you need to get it onto the second line, like this amount is okay, but just think that if you're able to, if you're gonna increase the size of that a little bit, then it could get pretty long. And then if something does go onto the second page, I would really think about whether or not that makes sense. And Kadisha, you were mentioning reducing some billets in the projects and potentially in the education section. Absolutely. I think that makes sense. Yeah. Get it onto one page because scroll time is time you're taken away from actually like reading and making connections and checking those boxes.
Okay, nice. Let's move on to another resume.
Okay, good. All right, John Doe. Oh, I know who you are. This I love. Financial analyst right at the top. Good. Love it. Okay. Professional summary. Yes. Financial analyst. We're going specific. Very, very good. With 5+ years of experience integrating financial modeling, forecasting, and data analytics to drive cost efficiency and strategic decision making. I believe that this person optimized this resume for a particular role because when I looked at it, there was the name of a company at the end. So I believe that this was customized, and I think that this person did that very well. Skilled in ERP systems, advanced Excel, SQL, Power BI, and Tableau. I bet this is, exactly what they were asking for in the job description. So good. Proven ability to automate reporting processes. But I'm sure that this is all taken directly from the job description that's giving me check boxes, check, 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 like that. I think maybe it could be just if we were able to get this one line shorter, that would probably be great. Because as good as it is to get that information up high, we need to make it as like condensed as possible because 7 seconds. Rule of thumb, 7 seconds. Okay, skills. Good. Up at the top, let's have a look. Okay. So I'm seeing on this resume under experience, I'm seeing that you have been paid to do analytical tasks actually quite a lot. And that for me, seeing like analysts, and I'm seeing SQL, BigQuery, Oracle ERP, Sheets, like Excel. I really like how the person bolded that here. The parser isn't going to care, the ranker isn't going to care, but that helps the recruiter. So I like that. And because you are so keyword rich and you have so much experience that is analytical, I would definitely move this skills section down to the bottom. Because for me, I'm assuming that you already have the analytical skills because I can see, boom, analyst, 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 analyst. That tells me you're an ace at all this stuff. Okay. This one, it ended up on the second page too. Good. Bachelor of Science Accounting, very strong. We don't even need to say anymore. I noticed that this person didn't put the date. I'm a big fan of not putting the date. Let's say, for example, if this person graduated like in 2011 and their analytical history started in 2019, then we don't need to necessarily write all those past roles that we had, maybe as, the front desk person. So this amount of different roles, it's totally acceptable to start it that way. Maybe this person also graduated in 2019. I'm not sure. But that's great. And then let's have a look at a couple of these bullets. Okay, let's start out with the top one: automated $70 million in monthly sales reporting. Using SQL and BigQuery, improving forecasting accuracy by 30%. So this is a doer language at the beginning, but honestly, I don't even care because this is showing me scale. This is what came across my desk on a monthly basis. I anonymized the company for you because I didn't want to out you for your current role. But yeah, this is showing me scale. This is a metric. That's very good. So I'm not going to pick on you too much. If you've got something like that, then I can get over the fact that the impact is actually at the back of the bullet. This one, however, I am going to pick the bone here because this one you absolutely can switch around. You eliminated 20 plus audit weaknesses by building the SQL-based automation and Excel dashboards using BigQuery. So that's putting impact first. I like that you're talking about partnering here. Maybe I think you can probably flip all these bullets. I'm going to go ahead and assume. But this is important because this partnered with different parts of the company, different departments. That's telling me cross-functional collaboration. So good. Like it. All right. Shall we move on to the next one? Any questions?
Quickly, when you mentioned that partnered one, so it reminded me when you said don't say we. So is that a good way to spin it?
That is a good way to spin it because we to mean even is who. So a lot of times we is you and your team. But with data analysis, a lot of times you have internal clients. So that means that you're going to have to be interfacing with people who are a lot less technical than you, people who have particular business needs, and the knowledge that they have is really, really different from yours. So if you've partnered with different departments, that's actually a different skill than saying that we accomplished something together, because you're telling me that you served clients basically.
Nice. All right, let's move on.
Okay, good. Homer Simpson. I actually don't know who this person is. Okay. So, career overview. Okay, so again, here at the top, we're going to be showing the job title. Man, my voice is really going. Okay. Data analyst with a background in healthcare, experience analyzing trends, evaluating workflow performance, and generating insights using Excel and Google Sheets to support operational decision-making in digital health. All right, good. This is strong. Strong ability to interpret data, identify patterns, and communicate findings clearly to cross-functional teams. Very important. Skilled in process improvement, workflow optimization, and translating operational needs into actionable insights. There's a lot of good here. Let's see. So this person has worked as a physical therapist, and I feel like it's like 4 years more or less of experience. So I think that you could also put that 4 years of experience up here because that already gives me more information. Right now, to find that out, I had to scroll down. Okay, good. Then next, we're coming up with skills and certifications. And I have no problem with that whatsoever because this person is coming from a physical therapy background. I think we may have spoken yesterday. Physical therapy background. So because this is much more pertinent, I am very happy with this person's skills section being up here. Very good. And then projects, of course, are probably going to give us more information about your analytical skills than your physical therapy experience. So I'm completely fine with your analytical projects being here as well. So good. I don't have any problem with that whatsoever. I'm noticing that there are no bullet points down here. If you had any kind of analytical stuff that you did in any of these, then I would love to see that here. Now I'm just seeing that doctor of physical therapy. Wow. Was there ever any kind of analytical work that you had to do in that doctorate that you did? I would just wonder. Okay. I think that this might be a little bit, the formatting might be a little bit funny here because this one was converted as well. So I love the bolding here. Great for the human eye. Let's see. Going to this last bullet here, it's a little bit long. However, identified high and low performing academic programs by analyzing unemployment rates in Google Sheets, flagging majors that exceeded the 6% unemployment threshold to guide improvements in career readiness support. This is a bit of a doer language. There's a metric in there as well. But if you're able to really give us the impact that you had, and maybe it's just kind of part of these other bullets as well, that would be great. This bullet is too long. It should be on a maximum of 2 lines always. All right. 4 minutes left. Marge. Okay, Marge from Nowhere, Texas. All right, again, I would do here up at the top the title of the job that you're applying for, going in with skills. Okay, so let's have a quick look. Risk analyst, data analyst, program analyst. So here, just giving giving this a quick skim, I'm seeing in the professional experience, it looks like there's a lot of analytical experience. So I would say almost it would make sense for me to put this skills section potentially down to the bottom. Let's see, master in conflict management and negotiation, BA legal studies. Those are basically not giving, although this was a master of science, so I would maybe be interested in knowing about that a little bit more. But they're not saying like super technical to me. So I'm totally cool with those being down at the bottom. But because this person has so much analytical experience in their employment, I would want to put that at the top because it's always more important to me what somebody has paid to you to do in the past. So if you worked as an analyst, especially a data analyst, volunteer work that you did here, that's fantastic. I would love to see that above your skill section. Would lead here, professional summary, 12 plus years, strengthening regulatory adherence, minimizing operational risk and improving control environments across multi-region programs, skilled at translating complex requirements into clear actionable procedures that boost accuracy, reduce delays, and evaluate audit readiness. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that this resume wasn't customized for a particular role just because it's sounding like a little bit maybe generic to me. I would love to hear a little bit more in the professional summary about your industry. If you've had any like really big win up there, I'd like to hear that right up at the top as well. I like the certificates and awards at the bottom. I think probably you have done or will be working on some projects as well. So I can't wait to see those on your resume coming up soon. I really like the length of the bullets that you've got here. As a rule of thumb, we can do 3 to 5 bullets per role. So, it basically like right off the bat, it looks pretty good. I'm just going to go and pick on you a little bit though, because I see a lot of percentages here at the back of the bullets. So I'm thinking that we could probably move those to the front. For example, this one, boosted efficiency by 65% by advancing onboarding workflows by regulatory process guides through Excel checklist designs, for example. That way we're impact first. All right, did we get any more questions in?
Some folks asked, the order of like the professional summary, experience, skills, education, like the order of it.
Yeah. I mean, I love to say that depends. As you saw when I went through, for what makes sense for one person might not necessarily make sense for another person. So if you've got that professional experience that says analyst, anything analytical, anything maybe engineering or coding heavy, you can feel free to put the professional summary, then the professional experience, and then somewhere down lower the skills, education, and projects. If you are really new, let's say recent grad, this is going to be your first job out of university, then I would say you can arrange it differently. I would still start. I really like starting with that professional summary because then it's just very clear what we've got here. And you can keep it really super brief. And then for you, another a great way to follow up could be skills. Especially if you had a major that sounded less technical, follow up with skills. If it sounds highly technical, like if you did your master's degree in data analytics or data science, then I almost feel like I would put professional summary, education next because you just graduated, and then professional experience if you have any internships that you did or any work that you did during college. I would order it like that. And then skills a little bit lower down on the bottom, and any project work that you want to showcase there as well. So I feel like it always depends. Really analyze what you've got and what your target is, and just think, what information is the most pertinent to the person who is reading this? Do they care more about my most current role or the fact that I've got SQL, as a skill? And what is it that's going to tell them that? Master's degree in data science, I know you know SQL. You definitely also need to have it on your resume, but like I gather that from seeing the master.
Perfect. All right. Well, we are at the top of the hour. It was a great I wouldn't call it a roast, a warming up. What do you say? We warmed it up a little bit. Yeah, it was great though. I really I think folks we covered pretty much a lot of things that we see across pretty much everyone's resumes. I do want to just quickly, one thing that, like, people who, like, I'm anti go back to school, right? But
Mm,
for those like um one of the Janes, right, had great extensive experience in like project management and product. But what I've noticed is, like, when career trainers decide to go get a master's degree, or even if they do a boot camp, for example, it's like they'll just like kind of frame their branding towards that master's degree, and they completely not really lead with their experience almost. So
mm.
I like to think for people to like combine the two, because when you just lead with that, like, education, the same thing that new grads are doing, right? Like, to me, that's
Yeah.
like, you're not really a true new grad. So how would you speak to that?
I mean, I would say that like I've mentioned before, your work experience is so important, especially if you're looking to just get into data science or data analytics, and you've got experience in a particular industry. That is so important. I mean, that is a big check mark for me. So, when I was, I was hiring for an e-commerce company, and I would see that you did like an e-commerce project. Amazing. That tells me you've got some kind of basic knowledge about e-commerce. Check. Even if you just like work for Amazon in the warehouse, like probably you gain some basic knowledge about like supply chain, logistics within an e-commerce company. So already for me, that's, maybe like a half a checkbox because you didn't work at the corporate headquarters, but already like as a recent grad, that's a person that I'd be more likely to have a conversation with. So don't underestimate the power of your industry match. And if you're looking to pivot into data analytics, data science, I'd like to call it low-hanging fruit, is to like leverage your experience in a particular industry. There's, pivot one is from one type of work to another, and pivot two is one industry into a different industry. So it's easier to make one pivot at a time than it is to make two pivots at a time. So if you're wanting to get into data, really consider leveraging the industry match that you have from your previous experience.
Okay, perfect. All right, Emily. How can people reach you if they need if they want to learn more? You
If they
know.
want to learn more, visit me on LinkedIn. I just added it to YouTube, but I don't know, it's not showing up for some reason in the chat. But if you're on YouTube, you can click on my LinkedIn profile there, linkedin.com/in/Emily-NDV. Otherwise, you can also visit me at my website, emilycareerservices.com.
Alrighty. All right. We'll plan for the next live, and hopefully Pedro makes time for us. I don't know.
He should. He's a less gentle of a roaster than I am, so he makes it a little spicy sometimes.
Alrighty. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your night, day, evening. Go to bed. Depending on where you're at in the world. But I'm glad that y'all spent the hour with us.
Yeah, thanks guys.